quite predictably, Bristol Palin is not happy with the criticism that she's received after the announcement just a couple of days ago that she is pregnant with her second child. Now, I want to say right off the bat, there is some of the criticism that went towards her that I don't actually approve of. These allegations that she should have gotten an abortion or she should have put it up for an adoption just because she hadn't been planning for it. I don't think that's a productive road to go down, but don't worry, I've got plenty of, I believe, fully justified criticism for her based on the responses that she has put out over the past couple of days to that criticism. Now, first of all, she put up this image of her, and it was, guess how much I care about your criticisms. That much. First of all, if you then continue to write blog posts about the criticism, you probably care more than that much. But I love that image because I just wish that we could start to flood her every day with Instagram and Twitter posts of women who say, oh, you want to go around the country talking about how important it is that everyone's abstinent and that there's something wrong with them if they're not. This is how much I care about your fucking pro-abstinence message. That would be delightful. Probably not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. I don't have that kind of Twitter pull. But I do want to read some of her statements. She says, so here are the things you should all get straight before you continue to mock me, judge me, and talk about me. None of us are perfect. I made a mistake, but it's not the mistake all these giddy assholes have loved to assume. This pregnancy was actually planned. I do want to say, first of all, while I'm talking about this, I don't actually care about Bristol Palin. I barely care about the Palin family, but what I do care about is what they represent, and what they represent is something that I believe is quite dangerous. This using Christianity to set up these insane standards for other people, for your enemies, your values enemies, your religious enemies, your political enemies, your racial enemies, and then not feeling any need whatsoever to actually live up to them. And so when we look at her statement here, you think that this was a mistake? This pregnancy was planned. No, then our criticism is still just as valid as it was before. What we were saying is, you say you're not supposed to have sex outside of marriage. Now you're saying, oh, we intentionally had sex outside of marriage to get me impregnated before the marriage. Your values still say not to have sex outside of marriage. And once again, I don't think she did anything wrong. In my political ideology, in my value system, Bristol Palin was doing the only justifiable thing. When you're horny and you're in a room with someone that you're in a relationship with and you want to get it on, you get it on. And so she did nothing wrong because she did that. But it's her value system, her religious system that she didn't live up to. The religious system of her and her mother and people like her. And so I don't care if you planned the pregnancy or not. You still did not live up to what you say is how you should conduct yourself. She says she doesn't regret the baby, which I don't doubt at all. It's not a disappointment. I don't doubt that at all. She wants to be a mom ×2, she says. I don't doubt that at all. Again, all of that is completely on the side of all of what I believe is the fully justified criticism that I and other people have had for her. And then she goes on to say, like she tries to defend against the accusations that she was getting paid all this money to speak out in favor of abstinence. And then she was like, well, I didn't really work for them. I just went around the country getting paid huge sums of money to speak for them about abstinence, which doesn't actually answer any of the questions that we might have for her. And like, yeah, look, if Gawker and stuff like that are saying that she should have gotten an abortion or whatever, that's totally wrong. But like the idea that we shouldn't have any problem with the fact that she has repeatedly been unwilling to live up to the standards that she pushes for others and gets paid handsomely to push on others, that her mother tried to push on the entire country, it's of course ridiculous. And by the way, I want to jump to, she has a book, this is on Amazon, it's Not Afraid of Life, My Journey, that's her book. It says in the description that she has centered her life on her strong Christian faith and she is not afraid of life. So first of all, fuck you. Fuck you for that title, that you're not afraid of life. They're specifically against the charges that she should have had an abortion on any one of those. I got news for you. There's probably no or almost no women who get an abortion who do so because they're afraid of life. They do so for very valid reasons that might not apply to you right now, and that you apparently have no interest whatsoever in attempting to understand how someone else's life situation could be even slightly different than your own, and how that may force them to make a decision that they're not 100% comfortable with, but should be supported in making. To say that you're not afraid of life and that your life is centered by your strong Christian faith, no, your life is not centered by your strong Christian faith, Bristol Palin. Your life is centered by you being a human being. And here's exactly what I mean, and I'll go back to something I was talking about a minute ago. If your life was centered by your strong Christian faith, when you were in a room naked with a man that you were dating and you got horny and you wanted to have sex with him, you would have said, no, my strong Christian faith says that I'm not going to do that. You didn't do that, so I would argue that your life is not centered around that. What it is centered around is being a normal fucking human being who responds to physical urges that they have. That is what your life is centered around. And if you look at any of what Bristol Palin has put out on Facebook or on Twitter, she gets in these stupid fucking feuds with people and she starts insulting them in the most vicious way. Again, it's not your strong Christian faith that's getting you to do that. It's that you're a normal human being. And I'll say once again, Bristol Palin has not fundamentally done anything wrong in any of the times that she has had sex or gotten pregnant or whatever. I would argue that speaking and being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to promote abstinence when you're not personally living that lifestyle, I would say that is at least hypocritical. We could have a problem with that. But yeah, look, she's of course going to respond to it, but she needs to understand that there are very big differences, as I've said, between her and other women. Other women don't necessarily have rich fucking families who are going to care for them and their illegitimate kids if they choose to have them, who aren't going to have their fucking elite, well-connected families defending them. Okay, no, these women who aren't part of the family, of the Palin family clan, and don't have millions of fucking conservative Christians defending them, no, they get shamed because of their illegitimate kids. Shamed by people like you, Bristol Palin, and people like your horrible mother, Sarah Palin. No, that's what they have. They don't have the economic means in many cases to care for these children, and they certainly don't have the societal support that they would need to care for these children. Two things that you are, of course, very lucky to have, and I'm glad that you have them because it'll be great for your kids, but how dare you shame other women, implying that they are afraid of life and that's why they're having kids. I'm going to have to take back a little bit of what I said. Apparently, I do care a little bit about Bristol Palin and what the Palins do, because they're just... It would be one thing if they were elite and conservative and Christian and that was it, but they're so fucking smug at the same time as they go out and they're discriminating against people and shaming people and stigmatizing people. Fuck you. Not because you had sex. That's perhaps the most understandable, reasonable thing you've done in your entire life, Bristol Palin, but for pretty much everything else that you've ever said and done, screw you.